Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is George Armistead, and I am here with my co-host, Alvaro Jaramillo. Alvaro, what's going on?
How you doing, George? How is everybody out there in, what is this? You can't say radio land because we're not radio. It's just like podcast land. That's
the podosphere.
Podosphere. And yeah. Well, how is everybody?
Yeah.
I can hear them already like saying, "Oh yeah, awesome."
Some of them going, great. Others are going,
Yeah, it all depends on a lot of things, right? What your weather is like, the time of day it's like, what you're doing. Are you commuting to work? Are you leaving work? Are you going birding, right?
If you have seasonal affectation disorder, or whatever it is. Yeah,
yeah, right. You haven't seen the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or if you're one of them, they're sports fans, and this last week maybe things went your way or they didn't. But how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yeah, I been doing quite a bit of birding the last few days, which I suppose is not a big shock. But we had a Hill Star pelagic go out on Saturday at Ocean City, Maryland.
Hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
Clapping.
Yeah. That is not the sound of one hand clapping.
Yeah. It happened.
It finally happened. I mean, yeah, we got weathered out several times in a row before we finally got out, and we actually have a trip this weekend that's a little touch and go as far as the weather goes. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is this time of year around here. We know it's kind of a 50-50 shot any day in winter, whether you actually make it out or not. But we did, and went out of Ocean City, Maryland. It was pretty rough to start, frankly. It was rougher than we had hoped it would be, but eventually it calmed down a bit. Some fine work by our captain Monty, and we got into a good patch of water and had ourselves a big whack of razorbills and some really nice views at common and thick-billed murres, and half a dozen or so puffins and Manx shearwater, sooty shearwater. These are tough birds to find in the mid-Atlantic, generally speaking. So it was really nice.
Did you see any Brunix guillemots?
Yes, we did. Yes. But we did not.
A lot of people don't know that in North America, that the murres have different names in Europe.
Yeah. We did not have any Slavonian grebes or Holbols grebes either.
Oh,
if you're really going back.
Yeah, if you're going back.
There were some great northern divers, though.
Great northern divers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I think that's interesting that the common murre is called guillemot in the UK. Thick-billed murre is called Brunix guillemot, and then it makes sense why like the black guillemot is the black guillemot, because it's kind of like the guillemot, but it's black, right?
Yeah.
But for us, it's just sort of we could have just called it guillemot, so because we don't have the non-black guillemot. Right?
Dude, I need 2 seconds. My dog is crying outside the door, and I can tell he is begging to get in. I got to let him in. Hold on. Come on, buddy. Come on, pal. There you go. Don't knock anything over. Right? Just hang out. There you go. Sorry about that. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. But yeah, he was going to just sit there and cry. So.
Well, cut.
Yeah. Yeah, or don't. Anyway, very cute golden retriever. But, and I'm trying to remember. What was the name again that you were saying for the...
Tisti?
Yes, yeah. I couldn't remember it. I was going to say testis. And I was like, that's not...
No.
Yeah. It's a different thing altogether.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
We did this weekend on our pelagic here on the West Coast see some taroks.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, very nice. Well
the
done.
Young black-leg kittiwake. So, yeah, we actually had the best kittiwake day ever in our history. So that was good.
How many did you see?
I think probably it adds up to about 100 birds, which is usually we see like 4 on a winter pelagic, and that's good,
Wow.
So it was good, and lots of rhinoceros auklets and common murres, a few short-tailed shearwaters, and 2 kinds of albatross. So that was good.
Man.
Tom Johnson picked out a distant Laysan, so that was quite distant, but the black-footeds were close.
That's
and
awesome.
Full Mars City, so it was good. It was nice, and
wow.
The weather here was calm, like not unexpectedly calm. Like never seen it like this kind of calm in winter. So we had the opposite experience.
Nice.
So yeah, East Coast, West Coast.
That's right. That's right. It's how we do it. Yeah.
That's right. We have our friendly rivalries of pelagic.
That's right.
Whatever stuff. I gotta say, like a little shift, but related to the pelagics. These eBird trip lists. What a great way to summarize a day, like a pelagic trip. Oh man,
or even a tour.
So glad a tour. Yeah. I'm so glad they did this. They were saying they were going to do this for a while.
A long time. Yeah, long time coming. Yeah.
Thank you, eBird people, for creating that.
It's so huge.
Try it, folks. If you're do a day out and you can put together these trip lists, and even if you have multiple observers, like on a boat, you can have them all come in on your trip list, and then their photographs also appear in the sort of communal trip list. And then, I think it's great. There probably are eventually we'll find some suggestions as to what could make it better, but I think it's fantastic new addition, because this has only been around for a couple of months, I think.
Yeah.
At this point.
No, it's pretty good as it is, but you're right. I'm sure they'll figure out ways to tweak it and make it even better. But yeah, the first one I ever got actually was from this Uganda trip that we did, and we put, the group put one together afterwards, and it's just such a great way to share all those lists into like easy access, easy way to see all the imagery everybody's got. And then you can share them publicly with just about anybody who wants to see what you had. So a really cool function that they've got there. It's been huge for these group birding trips.
I do wish, because all the photographs on eBird are associated with a bird species, right? That we could also include people photographs or whales you saw on the trip or something like that in the, obviously not in the eBird list, but in the summary.
Like the notes or something in the comment. The summary. Yeah, they used to be able to do that.
Used to be, and you probably could do it with HTML kind of thing if you code it yourself. But I'm saying, for regular people, that's,
I'm regular people. So
you're regular people. I think that would be great, because the focus is obviously on the birds, but we always talk about the importance of the social aspect and the other things that go on while you're birding, and that would be great to be able to post, dolphin you saw on a pelagic, or the people who were on your Uganda trip or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you saw that the drone video that they took from this pelagic. So I don't know. Just folks, some would have seen it, some wouldn't have. There was a media company that just happened to be flying a drone at the inlet as our boat returned last Saturday, and they saw this boat, our boat, coming back into port, and there's dozens of gulls just flying around as we were throwing some stuff overboard for them, and they were like, "Wow, look at that boat! That's pretty intense." And they filmed it, and not knowing that it was our trip, and some friends saw this drone video they put together later, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's our boat, and people were like, that's so cool. There we are, and you get this, bird's eye view of us looking at birds. It's kind of very meta experience.
I was almost like picturing you could put like a Bon Jovi kind of background, kind of coming into sort of a
Blaze
Jersey
of Glory.
port, something like that. It seemed kind of like that, because there was some definitely glory going on.
Yeah.
There.
Well, I think people thought that I arranged that, and I was like, look, I don't have, I'm not that together. I wish I'd thought
You
of
should
that.
have pretended, right? You should have just
Yeah.
pretended. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I got my people out there doing stuff. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was just fortuitous dumb luck, and but it was pretty cool. But it would be wonderful to have something like that, space for that in a trip list somehow.
Right.
Might be a lot to ask, especially for video, but still.
Right, and especially the Bon Jovi music in the background.
Yeah.
Which
no, I feel like there's never
I'm not
a bad time for Bon Jovi.
Library has got Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Thinking about like music rights and so forth, one of the funniest things that I sort of, once I realized what was going on, is that in Santiago Airport in Chile, there's all these tunes being played, at the airport, and they're all well-known tunes, but they're all done not by the original artists.
They like the elevator music style, or
no. They're actually trying to sound like the real songs, but they're like covers. But they're copies. They're actually copies. I wouldn't even call them covers, where the artist has changed the thing. It's just a copy so that they don't have to pay the full, whatever it is, for the 5 cents a song or whatever it is to be able to play that, which I thought was.
They got like a Bobo version of these.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an extreme way to keep costs down, but I mean,
the studio cost alone, you would think would,
I know. And I'm not sure any one of these fake ones was better than the original. Let me tell you.
Yeah, probably not, is my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of music, Al, I got to ask.
Oh.
We had the Super Bowl happened this past week.
That's what I was told.
Yes. I gather you did not watch.
No. I am not a football. To me, football's played with the feet. Let me tell you that. But I'm more keen on finding out. If Canada, wins the Olympic. What is it? Semi right now that's going on.
You're talking about the Olympics?
Hockey. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was happening this year.
Yeah. I mean, I know everybody's worried about the Russian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Skater who,
I
say let them all just dope up and get to their max potential. Just do it.
Yeah. Let's see who can be the best dopers, as far as the athletes go.
What this reminds me of, this doping stuff, is the ship assistants.
Yeah, it's a direct parallel.
It's a direct parallel, sort of like, just let the ship birds come in, whatever, we can count them. And at least then we don't have to worry about figuring out if it was ship assisted, not ship. And some people don't care anyways. Like, I think most lists actually don't care if it's ship assisted unless it's, in a cage. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, just let them all dope, whatever.
No, I agree. I think it's ridiculous at this point. I mean, if you look at the maps, like you look at those maps where they show all the ships that are out right now, basically that's like the ocean is a series of islands anyway, with all these ships everywhere. It's like, why would you bother? Or like you say, unless it was restrained somehow, it seems ridiculous to care too much about whether something rode on a ship at some point or not.
But this superb owl, or Super Bowl. Superb owl is actually kind of an interesting little side thing too. I didn't partake in it this year. You know how people post pictures of owls for the superb owl? But I did wonder was that something somebody just cooked up, or was it organic? People started kind of incorrectly typing the word Super Bowl, and then superb owl kind of derived from that, like in an organic way, or did somebody invent this? I don't know.
My recollection is that this was a Ken Kaufman thing that he kind of started. Was like, I think several people kind of independently noticed that those words, if you squish them together, just wrong, it ends up being superb owl. But I think he kind of elevated it on social media, I think. And that's like, I think I'd noticed it myself before the words, but my recollection was that it kind of took off with him, but I could be remembering incorrectly, but I thought he elevated it.
Yeah. He's an elevator.
Yes. Yes,
influencer.
He certainly is.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, that's cool. In any case, I thought that was fun, but we still haven't talked about what we were going to talk about with the Super Bowl.
This is true. I was like, because did you even watch the halftime show? Because the halftime show was, I thought, pretty tight.
I did actually. I watched it later. I saw it on YouTube or what have you. But what I did notice is that it is, I from people's comments, it's like either people loved it, thought amazing old school hip hop, boom, hit it out of the park, or they were like, this is so lame, or just sort of hated it. And it wasn't like the average sort of like, well, it was all right. It's sort of like love or hate. And I think it gets to our condition in the country, what's going on there. But I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but
I don't know.
I thought it was great, but some of those tunes are things I used to listen to back in the day. So,
oh my gosh. Like
you more so than I.
Oh God, I loved Snoop and Dre and to a lesser extent Eminem. I liked him as well. Loved Mary J. Blige. So I was in the camp that very much. I do think that generally rap is better in a studio, but there have been one of the best rap shows I ever saw. I saw Snoop with the Roots, and that was pretty amazing. They did the Roots picnic here in Philadelphia, and Snoop was with them, and that was crazy. But it's tough, like often in rap, you're supposed to sound pretty chill, pretty mellow. Like sometimes you get up, whatever. But I think it's hard to recreate, a live setting what you can in the studio. I still think those guys did pretty great. I really enjoyed it. And, people want to hate on it. They're going to hate on it. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Other things that are love or hate are those commercials, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this time we have a commercial that pertains to our purview of birding, which.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. That, well, you tell me what you think of that.
So this was
I don't even know what it is. If it's like Cheetos or something.
Close.
It didn't work.
Not bad. Yeah, we got to work on your junk food identification skills, Alvaro. But you got the gulls down, but junk food identification really needs a little work.
I know.
This is something I take great pride in myself. So I can tell you with some authority that this was a commercial for Flaming Hot Doritos, and it starts out with a woman looking at a pitta. Now I'm not exactly sure what kind of pitta it was, but I was like, "That's a pitta! Look at that!" And the next thing you know, I think she's like so surprised by the pitta, she like falls out of the tree. There's
the chips fall. The chips fall down.
Yeah, that's what it was. The chips.
She climbs down.
Yeah.
In a
safe manner. And I think she held onto her binoculars pretty good. And then there's
which was tough because those were like 40 by 800 binoculars. Did you see they were like 30-pound binoculars she was holding. Did you see that?
Those are like those old 1050 customs, those old 1050 Bushnell customs.
There were those big eyes that they use on the NOAA cruises, that are huge.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess they had to make it really clear that she was using binoculars, but that was the first fake part.
Yeah. And then the sloth gets into the action, the three-toed sloth. Which showed itself to be pretty fleet of foot once it gets on the ground.
Man, that once you get those red hot whatever they are, that sloth can move.
Yeah. And, actually, as a little sidebar, I should mention that I enjoy listening to Stuff You Should Know podcast, and they have a recent episode, one on leeches that I just listened to, but they have another one on sloths, which I think they just kind of re-released, which was pretty awesome, which they talk about things like how sloths only come down from trees like once a week to poop. These are things you can learn on Stuff You Should Know. So, well worth a listen there.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, you would do it more often, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. What? It makes no sense in that you would think something like that would be for a reason, and it probably is, but I don't think anybody's come up with a really good reason of why they do that.
I think they digest like super slow. I think they've got like really slow digestion.
No, but why don't they just stick their butt out? And
you mean like why do they come down to the ground?
Yeah.
That is a better question.
Yeah. That's the question I was thinking about. The week, the timing,
Yeah, because to me it'd be, once a week would be pretty nice actually. It's like it really save you some time.
Too much information. Too much information. Yeah,
my mistake. Well, at any rate,
so
the other thing that appears in this commercial is sort of the keynote is a Vermilion Flycatcher. Pops out of it reminded me. It pops out of the mouth of a crocodilian. I'm not sure what the crocodilian's supposed to be, but it pops out.
Snout, so it's probably an alligator,
American alligator, maybe.
Cayman, Cayman
New World,
alligator.
New World crocodilian, and it starts singing rather robustly. And it got me thinking actually about the crocodile bird. The Egyptian plover, which is one I've still not seen. One of those monotypic bird families that I am dying to see that thing. But this is not one of those, but instead a Vermilion Flycatcher. Pretty cool.
The Vermilion Flycatchers that actually hang out with reptiles are the ones in the Galapagos that actually will often perch on the tortoises. And those are now the Brujo Flycatcher.
Pájaro
Brujo. The witch bird is just a local name. So, and I actually had a role in getting those things separated. That was a project that was I actually kind of came up with it. And then people in the know were able to do the work to get that thing separated. But from a name perspective, what was really important to me was to fight for Vermilion Flycatcher, to keep that name. And one of the ways, if you separated this thing and sort of called the other one Northern Vermilion Flycatcher or Southern or Galapagos, right, it starts getting really complicated. So the fact that there was a name, Pájaro Brujo, and you could call it Brujo Flycatcher, boom, totally different.
Awesome name.
Vermilion keeps its name. And if we ever separate the migratory Southern Vermilion, we can call that Ruby Flycatcher because it's rubinous. It's actually the scientific name. But
are they still pyrocephalus? Is that still the genus?
Yeah.
Which I always loved. It's like red firehead.
Right?
Sort of
firehead. Yeah,
pyrocephalus rubinus. Yeah.
And if you think the firehead's the perfect, hot junk food chip kind of
for the
emblem,
Flamin'
man.
For the Flamin' Hot Doritos. Hot. Damn, that's a good.
Somebody was thinking. Somebody was thinking, and
using the old noggin right there. Yeah.
I don't know, but so here's the thing. Like, some comments have been around out there about this ad in the birding scape, internet scape, and people saying, "Oh, this is great." There's a birder and there's birds and there's creatures, but to me, I like that. But it's such a goofy commercial that makes no sense whatsoever. There's some nice old school music going on, and all that. But I'm thinking, like, does anybody actually buy more chips because of this? Like, millions of dollars went into creating this and putting it out there for people. And we're talking about it. I don't even remember which kind of chip it is. And I'm wondering, like, how does this all work? Like, I'm thinking that the ad people have just convinced the people who buy ads that this works, but nobody really has really done the work to see if this is worth their money. I bet it isn't. Is my thought. So I'm not dissing the commercial. I'm just kind of dissing the whole system here,
Right.
like trying to sell you something.
I mean, speaking from personal experience, it's not really possible for me to buy more potato chips. It's a real weakness.
Right.
And I like Doritos okay, although the flaming hot ones aren't really my go-to. I like the original or the Cool Ranch. I keep things pretty simple. Me and my nephew have a lot of arguments about this. He's more a flaming hot Dorito guy, but I do think I guess my guess is that they're thinking water cooler talk, although we don't really have those anymore, and branding maybe. I don't know.
I guess But you ever notice that like some really good IPA beers, like the superb stuff that you have, there's no ads for them. They don't need to have ads.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, they don't need it. It's
best advertising you can get. Yeah.
Crappy beer is the stuff that's on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get letters.
Oh boy. Now, one thing I bet a lot of folks don't know, Al, is the Brujo Flycatcher you mentioned. Mm-hmm. There are multiple subspecies of this. At least historically, there have been. I assume that those are still intact.
Sort of
ish. Yeah. But that's a bird in real trouble. Yeah, I was gonna say like the San Cristobal one is gone. Yeah. Right.
It's probably gone.
Yeah,
there was a report of one.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah,
isn't it Nanus?
Which one that is?
Small.
Could be.
It was like Pusilla or Nanus or something like that. It was yeah. And then the ones on Isabella.
Yeah, and the Santa Cruz Island. Yeah, they're going. They're not doing
disappearing.
Well. Yeah, disappearing. And it's not habitat. It's probably botflies, sort of that kind of thing going on. Which is really troubling for island species. We've talked about those Hawaiian birds with the issues of mosquitoes, malaria, but botflies introduced situation that, ectoparasites that hit the youngsters. That's a problem. The introduced anis were sometimes blamed too for nest destruction and eating but that may be more of a sort of old wives' tale kind of thing. Probably not helpful, but
maybe not. Not a big cause necessarily.
Not a big cause, but these botflies are also what's driving the mangrove finch in the Galapagos to potential extinction. So there's active work being done on how to mitigate. And one of the cool things that, gosh, if I can remember her name, it's a biologist. She came up with this ingenious idea of the birds take like cottony substance to make nests. So what if you just laid out cottony substance that had a insecticide in it? And they made their nests with sort of little infused with insecticide. And the birds actually they took it and they decreased the incidence of botflies from what I recall.
Because the problem, right, is that the botflies bite the nestlings, right? Don't they? They basically, it's mosquito transmitted. Is that right? Or
I forget how it, but the fly, egg is laid under the skin and then it grows into kind of a larva under the skin, and you can have so many of them that the bird just can't survive, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, so I
seem to remember seeing pictures of nestlings that have been infected.
It's not a pretty sight.
No.
Yeah. Too much information again. People are.
Yes, exactly.
Some people are eating dinner,
Yeah, really.
I mean, if you're eating dinner listening to us, I don't know.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that anyway.
Shouldn't do that.
Serves you right. Yeah. Yeah.
But gosh, maybe I'll find her name and then we can put it on the notes. But I thought it was one of the most ingenious ways of
maybe protecting them. Yeah.
Protecting these birds that have a very restricted range. And and just like somebody was thinking outside the box and just said, hey, how about we do this? And it's like, oh, it works, you know? I thought that was great. And I think a little different with the Brujo Flycatcher, because they're more widespread to the environment. The mangrove finches are really,
Tiny
concentrated
range.
to these
Yeah.
tiny ranges of mangroves on Isabella Island, and sometimes on
Fernandina.
the other one, Fernandina.
Yeah.
So it's always like, is it Floriana or Fernandina? Jeez, I get them.
I haven't heard about anybody. I don't know if they're still on Fernandina or not.
I don't think so. Yeah, they might. Yeah, not sure.
Yeah,
Galapagos, wonderful place.
Oh, really, really amazing. Yeah, and I especially like that part, actually, the western part, the Bolivar Channel area, where the mangrove finch is. But yeah, that is cool, and I love that name, the Brujo Flycatcher. I just think that's such a great name. You and Dan Lane do pretty good with the bird names. Like it's not like you said, it's like northern, whatever. Like I understand that can be helpful and accurate, but
right.
It's just not that exciting. Like, add a little color that's still informative.
Yeah, that. I mean, I don't know if I won't name names, but in Facebook today there was this discussion about this American robin that's in England.
Oh yes, I saw this. Yeah,
and you saw that, and I think
I saw the discussion.
Myself and Dan Lane came in there and were rather concerned because I think it was just
you guys provided an alternative viewpoint, shall we say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was about this American robin and kind of a cool vagrant out there in the UK, but just there was a point made that sort of not really a robin, call it American thrush.
Right.
And to me was like, why? Like, it's obviously, right, it's a thrush, good. We know that's the correct situation. And if we wanted to be correct about everything, we would just make all of our names so lame sometimes, right? And this is what's happened, the northern this and the southern that.
Right. So here they were saying it should be American thrush rather than American robin, which is a name that certainly is not as interesting in my view, and I think in many like yours and others, as American robin.
Yeah. Right. And sure, it's not the European robin. It's not even closely related to it. It's related to the blackbird. Should we call it American blackbird?
Yeah.
Should we call the blackbird thrush, since it's actually a thrush?
That would be more accurate, Alvaro.
Right. Mm. I know, that would be more accurate. But you chase this accuracy and then you forget that the beauty of it and the fun part is that it isn't a robin. And there's the story. There's where you begin kind of a fun story.
Peeling back the layers. Yeah.
Right. Same way that I will defend ringneck duck, not because it's a good name. It should be the ring-billed duck, right? If you look at the duck, it's got this big old white ring on the bill and the ring on the neck you never see. But it gets us into this conversation about names and stuff. And can you actually see the ring? Have you ever seen the ring? Or did you know that the ring actually exists? And it makes it more fun, right?
Yeah.
If we just sort of made everything so obvious that you lose all the panache,
the texture,
the texture.
Yeah.
Right? And I suggested too, like, great skua. Why not use the name that the locals use, Bonksy?
Oh, it's a way better name. Way better name. So much more distinctive. Yeah.
Yeah. Bonksy. People just go, Bonksy. Yeah. Killdeer. We could say it's the killdeer plover. Wouldn't that be lame? No, it's the killdeer.
Yeah.
So
we could call it American dotterel. That would probably infuriate them.
Yeah, American dotterel. Yeah, yeah. I think we have to unlame our names.
Yeah, I do think it bothers the Europeans more that these, but it seems like it's the Brits in particular. It bothers them that the American robin isn't the American thrush, and I'm always like, but you realize it was Brits that came here and named them those. Like this is not the Americans' fault, really.
Yeah, it was like a pilgrim, who's still had accents from the South Country of
Yeah,
England.
they should have been better at
That's
taxonomy back in the 16,
Right.
1700s, whatever.
Yeah.
Get it right the first time.
That's right. And we should be mad because people brought starlings over, but
Yeah.
I'm cool with starlings, house sparrows, whatever. They're here. It's
Hey, today I saw the largest flock of European starlings that I've ever seen before.
wow.
It's perhaps not.
Murmuration.
It was no. They were feeding. I was at the landfill. Full disclosure. We managed to go in there, and I don't like to
Dumpster
tell
diving?
people. Yeah, exactly. I don't like to tell people that I spent my morning at a landfill, but
They know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's widely known, really. But no, there was probably like 15 to 20,000 starlings
Wow.
there. Now I know they get bigger flocks elsewhere, but that's the most I've ever seen at once.
Hey, this reminds me of too, like a lot of stuff we didn't talk about when we were preparing our notes for today. But did you see that thing of the yellow-headed blackbirds in Mexico?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think anybody sensitive should watch that because I was kind of like, whoa,
Yeah. Looks like they. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. If people haven't seen it, this big flock of yellow-headed blackbirds in Mexico got thrown down. It looks like this flock it looks like they were shot out of a big cannon or something into the ground, and a bunch of them get up and fly away, but a whole dozens of them are just lying dead on the ground.
And the question is, what happened, right? Because you don't see why these birds hit the ground, and of course,
it was like a neighborhood nest cam or something that somebody had up on the street cam or something.
And it turns out that some people think it's like the end of days, or and other people say it's a falcon. I was wondering if it couldn't have been like a group of them going through a real downdraft, like a micro burst,
like a wind shear kind of thing, or
yeah.
That occurred to me too. Lightning and wind shear were a couple things that occurred to me. The other
peregrine was
I mean, that's what everybody's saying. What people, knowledgeable people, seem to be indicating that a raptor, a predator bird, surprised them, drove them down. I thought maybe fireworks or something, or like a backfire out of a truck, and these things rolling but they clearly had a lot of momentum when they hit the ground. So, yeah, it's dramatic video.
I've never seen a falcon actually work downwards on prey, like push them down. They always push them up, if anything, or dive right through them. But I've never actually seen a situation where the birds sort of spread downward like that. They almost always like spread sideways, or the falcon pushes them sort of up and like gets a single bird on the edge and isolates that. Yeah. So I might actually be kind of settling, the more I think about it, like in the non-falcon camp, like something else, like you said.
Honestly, I'm kind of with you. A bunch of people that know what they're talking about believe it's a predator, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, but my gut instinct looking at that video is I have a hard time making that into the case. But that doesn't mean that I'm invested in being correct about this. I don't know, but I think you're right. Like some kind of like weather event or something almost seems like that seems almost more likely, but I sure don't know.
Or like King Kong or Godzilla, a very big predator that from above that was trying to bat them down.
Yeah, I think that could be that could be a leading theory. Yeah.
So that could. I mean, just too bad we don't see the whole picture, but.
Yeah. Well, listen, Al, I had another mystery that I wanted to ask you about.
Wow. This is like a mystery show today.
You think so? Yeah. It's a mystery episode. Yeah. I was in my backyard last night, just kind of hanging out. It's been dark for 3 hours or so. We had some work being done on the house, and I was like trying to stay awake. I was like, I'll go outside and just see if I hear anything, maybe there's geese moving or whatever. I'm sitting outside and I'm out there for probably half hour, 40 minutes. And I actually see sort of a medium size, I shouldn't say it's pitch dark. It's actually almost a full moon. So there's a lot of ambient light. There's not a lot of street light around here, so it was you could see much more so than normal. It's pretty clear, full moon.
I've heard that Andorra is one of the poorer countries in Europe, so
no street lights.
Nobody will get that joke unless they heard 2 episodes back. Anyway, that's his neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I was out there and I saw this sort of medium-sized bird fly into one of the trees in my yard, and I was like, I swear, like that looked like an owl, like and we have it's pretty open in the area here. There's like isolated tall trees here and there, but otherwise it's mostly pretty open. Nearby, not even a quarter of a mile away, there's heavy woodlands. But I was like, honestly, I saw it so poorly. I was like, that was either like a screech owl, which is probably most likely, long-eared owl, which would be awesome, but probably not, but also possible. And then the thing that I actually thought might be the leading candidate at the time was a Cooper's hawk. But because I've seen Cooper's hawks go into that same tree and roost for quite some time, but not that I'm out there a whole lot at 10 o'clock at night. But have you ever heard about accipiters moving around at night much?
Well, let's see. It sort of rings a bell that, and I will get them hunting around my place, like really kind of in the dark wee hours almost. And then
if they can navigate, that would be a good time to hunt. If they can see enough and navigate, they could pick up
maybe
some
if there's enough light. Maybe if
that's
there's
what I was thinking. It was full moon.
Light.
Yeah,
they'll do it. We know falcons do it, right? There's some good footage of peregrine falcons actually flying around doing things at night and even migrating at night.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them, especially if you've seen the local individuals use that tree.
We have a young female Cooper's that likes taking woodpeckers around here.
Wow.
And I've twice seen her go into that exact spot and pick apart red-bellied woodpecker.
That's interesting. If they're not accipiters, not even closely related, but because of their shape and some of the hunting that they do, forest falcons, right, in Latin America, they're really active. Like they'll call at night and really early in the morning, and they're really active in the crepuscular time. So you wonder if there's a benefit to be chasing around birds when there's low light. If you can see them, they probably have a harder time seeing you coming. So
you're echoing some of the thoughts I had last night. But I was like, my initial thought was that can't be a Cooper's hawk. But that's kind of was my first take.
So I have a question. Have you ever thought of buying a flashlight and then just shining it up there?
Well, remember I mentioned we were having some work done on the house. I was sitting there waiting, and it landed close, and I was like, if I move, this thing is gone. And I was sitting there waiting to see if it would move again, and as I did, the contractor came out and was like, "All right, I'm all done here," and I was like, "Okay, it's got to go." So that the bird got away, but I'm actually thinking I might head out there after we're done recording tonight with my flashlight and see
there you go.
If I can do a little more digging.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. You come back to us and tell us what you find. I do find that watching the accipiters in the backyard, I have both sharpshins and Coopers come around. They're so sneaky and they're so amazingly adept at finding a spot to hang out in, and they'll hang out in this, dense shrub or tree for an hour, and I've forgotten they're there, and then they pop out again and like get a house finch or something. And I was actually talking to somebody about this recently, that you hardly ever see a sharpshin catch something. Like you get Coopers, you see them catch things, But I think sharpshins are so sneaky and also retire to these dense spots to eat that you see them around and they're hunting for things, but you hardly ever see them kind of catch something. And
maybe they're smaller, they're in cover, and then they get their prey in cover, they eat it in cover.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a thing to watch for. I think there's a lot going on that we haven't really thought about with accipiters, how they hunt. And also it's starting to make me think that, sharpshins and coopers, while we think of them as being super similar, they hunt differently, totally differently. Like there's way more of a, hiding on the sharpshins.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's the same where you are out west, but I'm sure you're aware
not.
of it. But it's a well-known thing that Cooper's hawks in the last 20 years or so, their population has just skyrocketed. And it's in downtown urban Philadelphia, it's one of the most regularly encountered birds in this uber urban landscape. You'll see people walking along, there'll be a Cooper's hawk destroying a pigeon, making one of those like little feather puddles, where they're sitting there, people just walking by. And if they just keep walking by and don't look at it, the bird will just sit there and all day eating, no problem. If somebody stops like me and looks at it, they'll rock it off. They don't like it when you look at them. But they've made a good living, figuring out how to live in urban areas. And meanwhile, sharpshin hawk numbers are just plummeted.
Yeah, they've increased here too, and probably are eating a lot of collared doves, Eurasian collared doves, and much more. And they're not. I mean, they're sort of more in suburban areas here, I would say, but in way down south, like in the Strait of Magellan and the city of Punta Arenas in Chile, the Chilean hawks, which is some people call it a bicolored hawk, which is an accipiter chilensis or accipiter bicolor chilensis. They come out in winter to the city and they hang out and eat pigeons too, just like Coopers, like in Philly. So it's kind of interesting that this is happening in multiple places by multiple species. So they're learning, hey, this is a good place to feed on these dumb. Well, I mean, pigeons aren't dumb, but they're abundant enough,
and they're
you'll
real
find
tasty.
a dumb one eventually.
Yeah.
They taste like chicken. Yeah.
Biscaccia, if you prefer.
Biscaccia. Yeah. I know it's interesting how that's all happening. And here, when I moved out west, one of the things I thought was eye-opening in terms of bird identification on these accipiters, the Cooper's sharpshin, is that in Ontario, in migration, sharpshins were way more common than Coopers when I was there. I'm sure Coopers have become more common over time. But out west, it was more like 50-50. And I realized how much I'd relied on just defaulting to sharpshin hawk. I wasn't really identifying. I was sort of like, oh, it looks like a Sharpie. And even if you just said that randomly, you were usually right because most of them were Sharpies in the fall. But here, being 50-50, more 50-50, it's like you realize it actually is a tougher identification than you want to admit.
Oh my gosh.
It's and sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it isn't. And that's
I take pride. I take a little bit of pride in the number of Coopers / sharpshinned hawks that I enter into eBird, because I do feel as though a lot of folks they're afraid to admit that they don't know. And I'm like, I'd say these birds are misidentified frequently. I mean, it's a known thing how similar they are, but the percentage that are identified, quote, identified, is way too high in my view in eBird.
Talking about interesting projects and research that people have done and thinking outside the box. Here in the Golden Gate, where the Golden Gate Bridge is, there's a really good, at least for the West, it's not the kind of numbers you see in the East, migratory hawk watch at Hawk Hill, the Golden Gate Raptor Observatory. And they count the birds but they also have like upstream, they have a banding site. And what they do is they've caught these birds and they radio and they've measured it and they know it's a Cooper's. They radio, okay, we're going to release a bird.
They test
and
the
they test
counter, right?
the counters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to see how many of them are getting it right or wrong and what the actual probabilities of being right and wrong and how you can improve. I forget the numbers, but they've been able to actually get good, solid ways of getting people to get better at this through sort of this controlled situation.
Right, because these are people that really know the species pairing and how to separate them, and it's I think what that's revealed, right, is how much they even are incorrect at times.
Yeah, and because they'll get the info that they'll say here it comes, they'll watch it kind of coming out of the blind or whatever, and they'll see it and they'll call it, and then they'll get the radio call, wrong, it was a Cooper's. Stupid. So no, but I think that's an incredibly useful type of research.
Yeah,
that you can only do if you
measure
have the right
some
setup.
Observer bias there.
Yeah. So it's it'd be interesting to look up what the numbers are and if it's gotten better, worse, the misidentification values.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, some of these things are tough. I mean, I put a lot of Laris big gull spur on my lists because a lot sometimes, if they're really far away, you really aren't identifying them. Like, so why pretend you are?
Right.
And, and if they're really close so that you can see that you can't identify them, then you might as well say, I don't know what
put them as spur. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. They can't identify them all. Nobody can. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, Al, we're coming up on kind of our last segment here. There's one thing I wanted to ask you about because I thought it was really cool. From what I understand, you have recently seen a good bird. But the funny thing is it's not the first time you have seen that individual. Maybe you want to tell folks about that.
Yeah, and it's a gull.
How about that?
So I go to the local gull flock and there's a whole bunch of messy gulls, like just crazy hybrids and this whole thing. And of course, there's your adult gulls, which are clean. And there's these first year brown things, which are all over the place. But I saw a bird, was it 2 days ago, that I looked at it and I'm like, well, I'll be darned. That looks like a slaty back gull, which is a really great bird, anywhere in the continent still, I mean, some places more than others, but it's a good, solid, nice find. But I like, that's the same bird that was here in December. And it came to me like, I don't know why I've seen this guy. I know this guy. And, so I took photographs. I just looked at my photographs today from the other bird in December, and it's changed quite a bit. It's it's worn and faded here and there, but there's some telltale feathers, and it's the exact same bird.
What age is the bird?
It's a first year bird, like first cycle, so not quite a year old. So one of these brown things, and I just was amazed that in a pile of brown feathers, there's enough like pattern and stuff going on that you can actually, if you're looking at this stuff, some birds actually resonate and go, oh, you've seen this one before, and it's happened to me in the past with other birds where I've said, oh, and sometimes they're common birds. It's like that Western gull, something about it. And sure enough, I find pictures 2 weeks earlier, I saw that very same bird. And there's some aspects of its pattern that are just sort of, and I can't even tell you what they are, but it's like the face recognition. You can't, I can't tell you how I know that I'm looking at you, George, and you're George, but I recognize you, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's something going on. But there's lots of questions that happen. Like, what was it doing all those weeks? Where did it
in
go?
Between? Right, because you were there. Yeah,
I've been there, multiple times. Was it just behind another bird and I didn't see it, was it not here? Did it go like to
Right.
Oregon and come back?
Right. They'd go to Timbuktu and
Right.
yeah, Farallones
Yeah.
or what? Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that you can identify an individual, and you've probably seen this too with other birds, and I know some of the real hawk people recognize individual raptors, like where they say, I've seen that red-tailed hawk before, and they they can actually look at photographs and say, oh, yep, the same bird. It's got the little dark mark here or whatever, which is incredible. Like,
yeah.
How
when you're tracking an individual bird like that. I mean, and we've seen it now, especially with some vagrant birds, like the stellar seagulls is a pretty amazing example. And there's, there was the great black hawk was another good one. My personal favorite one was a bird that I don't think anyone saw it actually besides me, and it wasn't, it was a gull also. But I was doing the Philadelphia Midwinter Bird Census, which is, kind of early mid-January. This is maybe 10 years ago. And it was dusk, and I'm kind of like, hoping to see some gulls come into this one spot where they roost. And I look out and I see a bird in with all these ring-billed gulls. And my first take looking at this gull is that it's a Mediterranean gull. Which is a long expected bird, right? People have been long predicting that Mediterranean gull will someday show up in North America. Mid-Atlantic would be a fine place for it. Hasn't happened yet. But my first take was like, oh my God, this thing, it picks its head up. It's got kind of the shadow pattern. That's a bird I'm familiar with from Morocco. And I was like, this looks like a Mediterranean gull. And I'm like, my head is exploding, right? I'm going crazy. Mm-hmm. And then the thing lifts off and I'm like, oh wait, the wing pattern is all wrong. And I realized pretty quickly that what it was a ring-billed gull, black-headed gull hybrid. Wow. And the bird took off, and I got perched flight shots, landing in the river, swimming shots. And then it floated down the river out of sight. This was at dusk, and it was gone. And I went back subsequent days. People went and poked around. Nobody saw it again. The very next year, same exact date, same exact location, same exact time. I'm sitting there watching the birds come into roost, and who do I see but this same exact individual, this hybrid ring-billed gull, black-headed gull, comes in and lands again. And like this time, I didn't care it wasn't a Mediterranean gull. I thought it was just so amazing that like I'd literally gone exactly a year between sightings, and that this thing came back to the same dumpy little old, pier in the middle of urban Philadelphia. It just blew my mind.
Weird.
Blew my
mind. Know what? That reminds me of another gull. When I was a teenage birder on the Niagara River, seeing this great blackback gull with a white set of white feathers on one wing. And we're all looking at this thing. Oh, look at a cool little white patch. And coming back the next year, same spot, same time of year, seeing the same bird with that same patch,
wow.
like doing the same thing. And then it starts making you wonder, are all these 15,000 gulls that are here all basically doing the same thing? Like they're all kind of coming back every year and hanging. The one that's on that rock there is actually next year will be on that rock again, and we just think, oh, it's a bunch of gulls, but it's the same gulls that are here each time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the cool thing about some of these birds that are well marked, or is that you can track them. It's almost cooler when they're common birds, where you can. It really is telling you something.
And I think it's not surprise that gulls stand out, because you can actually see gulls pretty easily. They're always in the open. It would be much harder to have, and they're big, right? Like if you had a red-eyed vireo that had a very specific little thing going on, you might never notice that, and you won't see it again the next year in the same spot that easily. So, but I bet, there's so many of these things where you're seeing an individual, and you're connecting not with the hybrid gull. It's like, Janus, the hybrid gull, like you could give it a name,
Right.
Like our lost northern gannet that's here in the Pacific.
Yeah.
It's a single individual gannet that's been here for years now, nearly 10 years. And it roams around by itself because there's no other gannet in the Pacific. And we've named it, just because there's only one.
I still think you should be calling it Mo Base. I think that's the name. You guys should be going Mo Base. I don't know. Morris is good. But,
Morris, yeah.
But still, I'm going to keep advocating for Mo Base.
Yeah. No, let's maybe folks out there, if you've ever had like an individual bird situation where you've seen the same thing.
Oh, that'd be a great one to run down some of those. Yeah.
Especially, or if you think you saw the same bird, not just in the same place, but there's something recognizable and you saw it elsewhere, that would be even better. Any kind of story of the same bird that's identifiable somehow, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we need to hear about that.
Send us those.
Yeah. Well, Al, we were coming up on the hour.
Wow. And we didn't even get to half of our topics.
No, we did not adhere well to our outline, but hopefully folks don't think we're too crazy. But thanks everybody for listening. Al, is there anything else you want to tell the good people before we sign off?
Gosh, I guess next time we record, well, it might be after I've done a trip to Chile and Argentina or while I'm on that trip. So I'm really looking forward to traveling again. It's sort of starting to happen, which is quite amazing. And so hopefully it'll all go well. We won't have any stumbling blocks due to the remaining COVID situation, but it's dropping like a stone in the places we're going to. Yeah,
same here. Looking forward to some travel in the not too distant future here. And we have heading to India soon to look for some birds, of course, but also for a couple big cats. So I'll have more to say about that down the line. But in the meantime, we still have a couple Hillstar pelagics coming up in the next couple weeks. I hope folks will consider those if they haven't. We got more of those coming up in the spring. I'm sure the same is true for you, Alvaro, and I've still got space on my Colombia tour. Really hoping folks will do that as well. So
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we should sign off, but I do want to say also thanks to our producer, Molly Brown, who is out west still, having a grand time, sending us photos of California condors and more. Hope Molly is having a great time. Look forward to getting her back here real soon. And Alvaro, have a great day, man.
All right. See you all later. Enjoy.
Cheers, everybody.